Hello, and welcome to another episode of my prediction series. In this episode, I'll be discussing the Republican primaries being held on June 7th in the states of California, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. So, looking at New Mexico, there were actually 12 candidates that signed up to be on the ballot in the state of New Mexico, and that's a lot of candidates. So, just as a counterfactual in terms of who I think would have won in the state of New Mexico and who I think will win. First off, who I think will win, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's the presumptive nominee at this point. He's definitely demonstrated some great success throughout this primary process. I am 99.9999999% certain that Donald Trump will win in the state of New Mexico in their primary, and that he's won the Republican primary at this point. In terms of the other candidates, I think second would have been Ted Cruz. Third, John Kasich. Fourth, Marco Rubio. Fifth, Chris Christie. And I won't go down the rest. But that's what I think the top five in New Mexico would have been had the rest of the candidates stuck it out in the race and not withdrawn their campaigns or suspended. But Donald Trump's going to win in New Mexico, is my prediction. Now moving on to South Dakota. In South Dakota, in their primary, I think that the winner is going to be Donald Trump. I think that the second place likely would have been Ted Cruz. Third, John Kasich. Fourth, Marco Rubio. Probably fifth. Yeah, Chris Christie is how I think it would have broken down for the division of the vote there. But again, it's a moot point. Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee. I'm fairly certain he's going to win in the South Dakota primary, as every other candidate has withdrawn from the race. All right, moving on to Montana. So Montana is this really fascinating state. They're sort of remote in terms of their politics, and it's a very mountainous state. Anyways, of the candidates that are appearing on the ballot, I'll say my top five of who I think would have won in the state of Montana's primary. In terms of who I think will win, Donald Trump is my prediction there. Then I think the breakdown would have been Ted Cruz second, John Kasich third, Marco Rubio fourth, Chris Christie fifth. That would have been my prediction for the state of Montana. All right. So moving on to the state of New Jersey. New Jersey is a really fascinating state. It's a state that is very diverse. It's got some really interesting politics in that state because of how dense the state is in terms of population. It's a very urban state, so they've got very concentrated population areas. Anyways, I think that Chris Christie would have won in the New Jersey primary had he been still in the race and campaigning as much as Trump is. But my prediction is that at this moment in time, Donald Trump will win in the state of New Jersey's primary. Then second, I think likely would have been Chris Christie, or likely will be Chris Christie. Third, Ted Cruz. Fourth, John Kasich. Fifth, Marco Rubio. The reason I say Chris Christie likely would have done much better in the New Jersey primary than some of the other primaries is that he is the sitting governor of New Jersey, which means that he has an advantage built in compared to some of the other candidates. But again, it's sort of a moot point. Donald Trump is very likely to be the Republican nominee. He's won a substantial number of the delegates, enough to win on the first ballot of the Republican convention. All right, so now the big state, California. So in the state of California, there are 6 candidates that will appear on the Republican presidential primary ballot there. Donald Trump, Jeb Bush, Carson, Cruz, Kasich, Marco Rubio. So of those 6, I think Donald Trump will win the primary in the state of California. Then I think that it would be Ted Cruz, Kasich, Rubio, Bush, then Carson. California is a super fascinating state. Their politics are very diverse because it's the most populous state in the United States, and so the politics are all over the place in terms of district by district. So some areas of California are quite Republican. Quite a few of the areas of California are very Democrat. It's why both senators from California are Democratic and the governor is a Democrat. But nevertheless, there's a lot of people in California, millions and millions of people, and so it bears mention in this prediction series, and it's worth discussing. But either way, those are the remaining Republican primaries coming up, and my prediction is Trump's going to win them all. And ultimately, Trump is going to win this primary, is my prediction, as has been for the past few episodes of this series, because he's won a lot of contests. He's won, at this point, 34 contests. He's won almost 12 million votes. He's got over 1,100 bound delegates. That's a lot. So clearly, he's definitely got a very high probability and likelihood of being the Republican nominee at the convention. That is the prediction. I'm 99.9999999% certain that Trump will be the Republican nominee. That's my prediction, based on what's happened in this election so far and who's won the most votes, most delegates, and most contests. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and this will be my last Republican primary prediction video. I'll be doing prediction videos for the general election as well, but those will be much later in the year. All right. It'll be really fascinating to see if Trump doesn't win in any of the primaries coming up as a protest vote, but I doubt it. It happens sometimes at this stage in the primary that people do a protest vote because it's sort of a moot point who gets voted for, but I don't, because it's not a moot point, but it's sort of, Donald Trump has secured enough votes that he is the likely nominee because of how many delegates he's won, and so protest votes might happen just to send a message. But even with the protest votes happening, I don't think there will be enough opposition in the vote for Donald Trump to lose any of the upcoming primaries. I think he'll have a decisive victory on the 7th. It's going to be pretty obvious that, he won. He won the Republican nominating contest, and that's that. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and it'll be fascinating to see what happens.